Hey guys, welcome back to the third episode of the 7-Figure Real Estate Show. Today, we're going to meet with Brad Knowles, who runs an office that sells over $1 billion in real estate annually. Last year was the third most profitable office out of all of Keller Williams' offices. So that's about over 800 offices, I believe.
Brad talked a lot about the characteristics and the traits it takes to become a successful real estate agent. A lot of his job working with the Keller Williams office is bringing in new agents and teaching them the ropes. So showing them how to do it. So today he's going to talk a lot about how he's done that for himself and for others.
Today was such a fantastic episode. I grabbed a lot of golden nuggets out of it that I'm going to implement in my own business. So Brad's a great resource. So let's get right into it. Brad, how did you start in the real estate industry?
I lost a bet.
Yeah?
No. My wife actually started. My wife got into real estate. I have a construction background. And then I had a relative that wanted to invest in real estate. And this is the magical years of 2003, 2004, 2005, where, you know, you could be really stupid in making money in real estate. So it seemed like a simple thing that we could do. My wife got into real estate, chose Keller Williams, no joke, because she liked the lobby.
Okay.
Yep, liked the lobby. So I've had an 18-year career with Keller Williams because my wife liked the lobby. She realized very quickly that she did not want to do real estate.
Okay.
Her only listing was my father's house.
Right.
So there was this great conversation of like, you can't bail on my dad. You know, hang in there for a little bit. I'll go get licensed and I'll do that. And just in the process of getting licensed, I just fell in love with the industry.
Just to dive on your wife a little bit, dive into what did she not like about the industry? I think that's a great question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. She did not like about the industry the fact that clients don't listen to the advice from the professional.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the patience for it. Like, wait a minute, you invited me into your home because I'm a professional in this thing. I've given you advice and now you're not following it.
Sure.
So your dad wasn't listening to her?
No, my dad was. My dad was, which was great, which is why she got the listing and why she was working with him. It was every other potential client.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so quickly realized, like, I'm not going to spend my life doing this. Okay. No, why would I do that? So I just assume she's way smarter than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you get in, you start selling.
Yep.
And this is 2005?
2005.
Okay.
February 2005 is when I started with KW.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah. And then, just went right into selling. Quickly realized that I did not have a very good acclimate for the administrative side of the business. There's kind of a twofold, which most people don't realize getting into real estate. Like, you're a business owner, but you're the only employee, you know, so you got to do everything. And no one's good at everything. No one's good at everything. Yeah. So having her being licensed, I very quickly brought her back into a part of the business that she really liked, which was the administrative side. So I was the front-facing, dealing with the clients, negotiating the deals. She was talking to our title companies, mortgage companies, making sure the pieces were getting done so that we actually got to the closing table.
Nice. So it sounds like when you initially got into real estate, it wasn't, I'm going to take this full time. This is going to be my new job. It was more like, let's just do this on the side. It's a good market. People are making money. Was that how it was? Or were you kind of like, I'm going to do this?
It was somewhere in between those two, I would say. I was definitely looking to leave the job that I had. I was very open to various forms or aspects of real estate. I was open to being the boots on the ground construction guy. But after taking the class and realizing how powerful real estate ownership was, what it could do for families long term, what it could do for individuals, all that kind of stuff, it was just like, I'll put it this way. Real estate is the American dream. Yeah. That's it. Like, that's the whole dream. That's the whole dream. Like, you
How
want,
so? Like, why?
Well,
like,
you
why
want to
is it the American
change.
dream?
You want to change the trajectory of your family, right? You want to go from lower middle class to upper middle class. There's no better vehicle than real estate. There's no better vehicle.
Why is that for the viewers?
For the viewers, it's because as you're sleeping, slowly and very persistently, just like water on a rock, you're building equity. Right? So all that blood, sweat, and tears you're doing at work, like, that's getting you by day, month by month. But then you have this forced savings account that happens in your home or in that 2-unit that you bought that, man, you know what? It stinks to go over there and fix a leaky toilet, on December 24th. It really does. And then 20 years later, when your kids need to go to college, you realize, I have all the money I need for them. And now you break that tradition of nobody in your family going to college because now you can afford it. It's like all of those things we talk about in terms of the literal white picket fence of the American dream are all possible through real estate. I'll go one layer deeper. I have literally worked with almost every single race in this profession. I've worked with people from every financial background in this profession, and they've all had the same opportunity to succeed. So it just, all of the stuff that we talk about in America in terms of the inequalities and this, that, and the other thing, real estate erases all of them.
Right.
It's like, can you do it or can't you?
Right.
Your color, your financial background, like all of that stuff, it literally doesn't matter. Go get it.
Okay. So I think a lot of our viewers are listening to this podcast because they want to make money in real estate, specifically through the vehicle of being an agent. Can you explain how being an agent would benefit or play into you owning real estate and like growing that equity that you were talking about?
I love it. Yeah. Well, one of the gifts of being a real estate agent is you have no ceiling to your income. So if you're listening to this right now and you make $57,000 a year, and if you do everything right, next year you'll make $58,000 a year. Real estate gives you the opportunity to go from $58,000 to $580,000, and you can actually take those steps, make those leaps based off of your own work, your own smarts, your all of that, right? That excess income, if this is an important one, folks, if your lifestyle doesn't change as you earn more, can now be invested in real estate because you don't need that extra money.
Yeah.
That extra money can now be an investment vehicle.
So Brad, on that note, give me a story of an experience where an agent's come in making nothing. And then within the first year, they're walking out the door with $300,000, $400,000, $500,000.
Oh, we've got a young guy here, joined us at 19, grew up in the same town you and I did. No college degree, right? Right out of high school, was going to take kind of a gap year kind of a thing, maybe do some college stuff. First year in the business, sold $8 million. So that turned into, six-figure income for him. First year. Couldn't drink, making $6 million. And what did he do? Bought his first investment property, right? And I've seen that all over New England.
Do you think that's possible for everyone? Like, is that an unrealistic?
Nope. Here's why it's not possible for everyone. In the same way that not everybody's going to get six-pack abs.
Yeah.
Can they? Yes. Will they? No.
Yeah. So it comes down to
it's just choice. It's just a choice. What's your priority?
What are the three things that people do to be successful in real estate? What sets them apart? The person that the person that's a six-pack abs and the person that doesn't.
Yeah. Number one, I would say just mindset. Right? Mindset is probably a bigger driver than anything in this industry. It's an incredibly lonely industry. It's a challenging industry. It's a frustrating industry. Your mindset has to be able to live above that and keep going. So that's a kind of entrepreneurial piece. Number two, you have to be okay forming new habits. What you did yesterday doesn't work now. Right? I mean, we're living that in a market we're in right now.
Right.
The crap that made us successful in 2022 is not the same stuff that's going to make us successful in 2023. So we have to refocus, retool, create new habits. Not a lot of people like to do that. Most people, by the time they're in their mid-20s to early 30s, they're kind of done growing, right? So you have to have this mindset of growth. You have to be willing to do those habits. And then I find for most, there's some sort of X factor. I think for myself, my X factor was I had $200 to my name. There's no plan B. And in my early years of real estate, I realized I do perform best when backed into a corner. Back me into a corner, I'm going to give you 100% of what I have. And that's exactly what this industry demands. So, but that can show up as a single mom who's trying to change careers. That can show up as a dad whose first baby just showed up, right? That could show up as a kid whose parents don't think they're going to be successful and goes, all right, I'm going to freaking show you, right? So they got a chip on their shoulder. So like I said, it's kind of an X factor I find, but all the successful people I come in contact with have something like that. So I think you just have to look in the mirror and go, am I willing to do what most people aren't willing to do? And if the answer is yes, great. You'll probably be able to do well.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you have a mentor that kind of showed you the ropes or
many. And that's through true through my whole life. And I think, you know what, I think that's, I like how you asked that, because I think that might be the fourth thing is a humility to recognize the fact that you don't know. And I love what we're doing here, right? This isn't going to teach somebody how to do real estate. The mentor is going to teach them more, right? And that mentor is somebody else who's side by side, been boots on the ground. They're just a little further down the track than you. So yeah, I mean, Ed Getty was a great one for me. Steve Morgan was a great one for me. Jen Jakes was a great for me. I mean, all of these people are 20, 30 years older than me. They'd had another 15, 20 years of real estate experience than me, and were willing to share, and I was willing to listen, learn, and adopt.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool about as far as finding a mentor and like kind of what we're doing with this podcast and what you, because you're a team leader in Keller Williams.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what you do here?
Yeah, I'm, I'll try to give you some non-Keller Williams lingo. Keller Williams is a franchise. I run the franchise. I don't own the franchise. I run it. So I'm the CEO that the owners have hired to run the company. You could also look at me as kind of like an office manager. So it's my responsibility to make sure we're in business with the agents we should. We're growing like we should. We're profitable like we should. We have the staff to support our agents like we should. So all of those things fall under my wheelhouse.
Okay, so you work with so let's say a new agent walks in the door.
Yeah.
I want to be a real estate agent.
Yep.
You will work with
I will
them.
have that conversation.
Like you'll bring them on board, and then you'll kind of connect them with someone who can show them the ropes as far as...
In our office, we have a productivity coaching program. So it's experienced agents who are trained to coach new agents to get into production.
Exactly.
So yeah, we've got the whole infrastructure set up for them, and I help, I act as the filter of, are we going to get in business with you or not? And then if the answer is yes, great. Then they go into our PC program and they're off and running.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that question is kind of, I wanted to follow up with like what we're doing and what you're doing go really well together, because Nick and I, our whole goal with this podcast is to find new motivated entrepreneurial agents who want to kind of like join the Keller Williams, the, Dan Bergarian team. And then so like what we're going to do is like work with you guys, the viewers, and then connect you guys with someone like you.
Absolutely.
And wherever you are, and then bring you up the ropes and teach you how to do it and sell some real estate. And also on top of that, like giving you our systems, like the systems that Nick has proven year over year for 40 years and sold millions and millions, tens of millions in real estate with. We're going to give that to you as well. So I just wanted to.
No. That's exactly right. And it's not limited to geography. I mean, that's a great thing about Keller Williams is it's anywhere in North America. And quite honestly, we're in 20 some odd different countries around the world. We're the largest real estate company in the world. So it's a huge opportunity, huge footprint. Yeah.
So, okay. So now you're working as a team leader. Did you step away from that no ceiling earning potential as a team leader?
I think there's aspects of that where you could say yes. Because I did. I stepped away from the frontline sales of real estate after 4 or 5 years of selling it. And part of that was because of my background pre-real estate. I'd had a lot of leadership roles, and I felt like that leadership piece was something I really wanted to get back into, and this role allowed for that. But at the same time, the answer is no. Because what a team leader's role really is learning how to be a great person in terms of running a company. Well, once you master that at some level, now start applying that to other companies. So I've got 2 other companies that I'm involved with in terms of an ownership position, including the running of Keller Williams, but I'm applying the same things. I know this is going to sound weird. I'm applying the same things to the farm that we're starting with my children that are raising dairy goats, right? It's still a business. Right. The product's different, but it's still a business. So all of my expertise about marketing, design, all of that kind of stuff, how to partner with the right people, all of those things now apply at scale. So I'm involved in about 5 different businesses right now. So no, it didn't. it didn't really create that ceiling.
It just showed up differently.
It's just a different path. And again, none of that would actually be possible without real estate and how real estate's done in the United States.
Yep.
Well, so when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to sell real estate."
Yep.
What we're basically saying, or what we're showing them, is that you have multiple avenues that you can track down. You don't you don't just need to be a real estate agent. We have many real estate agents that own other companies. Or involved in other companies.
We got a guy 100 feet from us that owns multiple car washes.
Right.
Because he's a successful real estate agent. Like, how the heck did that happen, right? The guy who works for me in my coaching and training company, right? He started as a real estate agent, realized that real estate frontline sales was not for him. He moved into an administrative role. Well, guess what? He now owns 3 investment properties, right? Again, the gift of the knowledge that he had, coming up in real estate, continuing to work in a very lucrative industry where his excess income could be invested in real estate. It's like, most paralegals don't end up having that opportunity.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but real estate is the largest industry as far as market cap goes in the world, right?
I don't know about the world. I would say in the United States,
the value of
real estate is done very different in other countries. There's a lot of countries where you as an individual can't own anything, and it's more like you're leasing from the government. There's a lot of different fashions to it. But in the United States, well, that's the lesson that I think all of America learned in 2008 was, when real estate really goes south, it affects everything. That's the biggest. That's the biggest recession we've had in my 47-year lifetime all day long. What we're going through right now with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, it's a heck of a speed bump, but it's nothing compared to what we went through. And that's the real estate industry actually going through a massive downturn. So, and where are we now? 3 times the valuation. Like, real estate's always on your side. It's always on your side. Time is on your side when you own real estate. It is.
Which is great, which is a great segue into buying while you're young.
Oh, yeah. Well, it
goes back to like a 401k or anything like that. You start it young, you're going to make more money later.
I love Warren Buffett. I think he has so many great things to teach. But part of the magic sauce about Warren Buffett that we don't really talk about is the man is 90-something years old and he started when he was 11.
Right.
You actually don't have to be a genius if you just follow that part of the plan, right? Don't lose money, invest early, and live a long time. You're going to be a billionaire. Right. Most people try to outthink it and go, ooh, let me move this, let me move that. It's like, no, shut up, leave it alone. Right. Just go do your job, go do your stuff. You're going to wake up someday, you're a millionaire, and then you're a multimillionaire, and then you're. So time's on your side.
Okay, interesting. As far as like making a significant amount of money at a young age, I think real estate is probably the best avenue to do so, because you're thinking about it, it's like, okay, in order to make $100K a year as a 22-year-old, normally the route is I go to college, get like a good degree, and then I get like a good job.
Yeah, you better get an engineering degree, legal degree, something like that, especially in the state of Maine.
You're not coming out of most colleges with an engineering degree and making $100,000.
Right.
So
not in Maine.
And you're also coming out with $100,000 in debt.
Right. Very possible.
I think what I was getting at is like it's a tough route to get that startup cash to be able to put down on a property.
Absolutely.
And
well, look at the average home ownership age has increased.
Like 35, 36.
Increased drastically.
First-time home buyer.
So the first-time home buyers in their mid-30s now.
Right.
Because they're so in debt from school.
Right.
Well, as far as like being in debt, that plays a huge role into being able to take out a mortgage.
Massive.
And I think is a topic that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, debt to income ratios.
Yeah, debt to income ratios. And that's one of the first things the lender looks at is like, okay, how much money are you making? How much debt are you in? They're not going to give you a $500,000 loan if you have a $500,000 in debt and you're making $100K a year, even if you did get a good job.
Yeah. These many of your listeners won't agree with me.
Yeah.
So I'll just preface everything with that. Don't borrow money for an education.
Right.
Don't borrow money for an education. There are cheaper ways to go about it, right? And now I'm not saying don't go to a big expensive school. Go ahead. If you can afford it, if you find a way to do it without borrowing money.
Why is that?
Because it's debt.
Yeah, you're hamstringing yourself when you come out.
Yeah. In the same way that I would tell you don't buy a $100,000 car unless you have $100,000 you can spend on it, right? Don't sign up for a $1,200 a month payment on something that isn't really going to give you the return. Most people that are getting those educations for that kind of money are coming out and taking jobs that don't actually allow them to pay that off. They think it's going to get them ahead in life, and it isn't. I'm not saying college is bad. I'm saying borrowing significant money for college is not the way to succeed quickly in life.
I just saw a statistic, and it was talking about Ivy League schools. The price of Ivy League schools is something like $90,000 a year. Some of them are up above
over 100
a year.
Yeah.
And it's really funny that so Nick and I were talking about the way Nick and I kind of like hit it off and first met each other was he asked me if I went to college. I was like, yeah, I went to a college down in Florida, and we ended up going to the same school. So that was just like a funny connection we had.
Yeah.
And then the other day we were in his office talking about some real estate, and we were like, I wonder what the price of the tuition. Because I was saying it was like,
what's it now?
It's like $75,000. And when how much was it when you went to school?
It was when I went to school. It was $24,000 a year.
Sure. Which was a lot of money.
Which is a ton of money. And I would actually have to say that it was probably, I may be the last generation where parents, if you're making not a killing, but a decent income, where you can tighten the belt at home, find an extra $24,000 a year to be able to send your child to school.
Yeah. My parents, Nick will appreciate this because he's a sailor. My parents sold their sailboat to pay for one of my years of college.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, well.
You got to be selling an awful big boat to be paying for $70,000.
It was a 30-foot catamaran. But but again, the tuition bill wasn't $20,000.
Yeah, but I'm saying nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to sell a very big boat to pay for a year of school.
Yeah. And again, I would say, look at the alternative. What's the alternative? Take that same $400,000 invested in real estate. Your kid is further ahead 10 years from now.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's an appreciating asset. A lot of the things that I think are being taught in colleges now don't have a viable, marketable skill set that comes with it. It just doesn't, So, you've got to be very careful. And here's the thing, I don't know of a 17-year-old who can sign their name on the purchase of a house, right? You can't. You're not old enough to get into that contract, but you can when it comes to lending for an education. Right? So in other words, the world is saying you're not mature enough to be able to do that everywhere else in your life. Oh, but this one, it's okay. Right. And oh, by the way, when you declare bankruptcy, you still have that debt. I mean, it's a sticky debt. It's a sticky debt. So I think you're way better off finding other ways to do it, like Nick said, tighten the belt in other ways, find a way to get the education you need to go do what you want to do.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, not everyone can just become a real estate agent. So it's like, what is that? What are these special characteristics that define someone who would be a good agent? That like someone like the viewer who's listening to this and thinking, oh, I want to be an agent, but is this really cut out for me? Like, who should you be as a person that would make you excel as an agent?
So what I'm going to say is anybody can, and to your point, there's a subset of society that is more likely to be successful. Just more likely to be successful. But I've literally, in real estate specifically. I mean, I've watched people who I would argue are wired like accountants. They don't want to talk to humans. You know what I mean? They're very analytical and over time be very successful in real estate.
Yeah.
But that's the oddity. That's the exception. Most really fall into two factors. One, they are highly driven. And you can tell somebody who's highly driven before they're even out of high school. It shows up in other ways. They're pushing to be the captain of the team. They're pushing to get the lead role, in the play. They already have two jobs. There are markers already, right? And then the other one is the highly social, right? They actively look to make and create real new relationships. And I'd say that's probably one of the bigger hamstrings, I would say, with the generations that's coming is real estate is still very much a belly-to-belly, face-to-face, handshake business.
Yeah.
Right? And if you do all of that virtually, that might actually be a hamstring for you. You need to be able to do both. You need to be able to live in the digital world and in the physical world because real estate is a physical thing. That's not digitized. Yeah. You actually need a real roof over your head to then sit on your computer and goof off all day, right? So you have to be able to live in that space. And I haven't seen yet in our lifetime how anybody's been able to negate that. So that skill set to communicate in person with people and actually enjoy it, look forward to doing it, wanting to do it again next day, right? Either that or that highly driven, one of those tend to be the ones that are just more likely to be successful.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's cut to a quick break here.
We hope you're enjoying this episode today. We partner with the CE Shop to help you get licensed in over 27 states in the United States. Reach out to us today. We'll be more than happy to connect you with somebody like Brad to get your real estate start so you can make your way to a 7-figure real estate agent.
So again, if you guys are interested in getting your real estate sales license, the link will be below to get your start.
Also, if you want to join our community, please reach out to us. Our links will be below. We'll be able to help you start your career, figure out your career, how to make money, all for free.
Can you do Nick and I a simple favor? Like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever. Engaging in these episodes helps us so much. It's really going to allow us to push this podcast forward, work with more viewers, grow our team, help you guys out, bring on more valuable guests. Really excited to start this, grow this, all with you guys. Again, we couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much.
I think that's one of the pieces that we talk about in real estate all the time of not being tied to the outcome. Right. And I think that's also an important part for people in real estate. We've had a long conversation about how do I make good money in real estate? There's actually this underlying trait that we haven't talked about. You have to be willing to put other people first.
Right.
Your financial gain in real estate is only going to come from you taking care of your clients. You sell them short, you're dead. You're dead. The world is too small of a place. You will not succeed, period, end of conversation. You won't. If instead you actually put other people's interests before yours, you're actually going to make truckloads of money. Because that's exactly who we all want to work with. Somebody who cares about us.
That makes sense. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have both been agents for a while. I've been an agent. I've been licensed for, like a couple months. So I don't know.
You've got it all figured out.
I'm still learning. But so correct me if I'm wrong. But real estate is probably the biggest industry that is referral based. Like as far as like what percent of your clients do you get, Nick, that are from, hey, someone's. Because I feel like
95% of my business is repeat or referral clients.
Exactly, because purchasing a house is the largest purchase someone can make. I mean, a normal person makes is purchasing a house. So it's not something necessarily that people are like just haphazardly just Googling, someone who sells houses. They're like, they ask their good friend that they trust or their parent, hey, who should I buy real estate from? And if someone trusts you and they're like, oh my gosh, Nick Danbury's awesome.
Well, there are a lot of people that Google, but there are several ways to do it. But I would agree with you that, it's a referral based business in anything. I mean, in anything, where do I go get my haircut? Where do I go get,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way of the world. But yes, I would say that in this industry, referral based,
and
business is the best.
To this conversation, I would say I love the haircut scenario because you wouldn't recommend a barber to me if the guy was a jerk and he did a crappy job.
No.
Right. And we're talking about a $20, $30 item. Right.
Exactly.
Add 4 to 5 zeros to that transaction.
Right.
How important is that referral? How important is your name on that referral? There's a responsibility the person is taking on just referring you, right? It's not like referring you to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Right?
Like if the food sucks, who cares?
Yeah. It's referring you to a caterer for your wedding.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not referring somebody unless I actually believe that they can do it, right? Which is going to come from a personal experience. So, yeah, if you deliver at an 8, you're not getting referred.
Yeah.
Right? You have to deliver at a 10 for somebody to refer you in real estate. So, going back to what I said, like, you have to be willing to put other people first. You really do. Yeah.
You can't walk into somebody's house with commission breath, as I like to say.
Yeah, no, if your sole purpose in helping them is money, you're actually setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be a lovely byproduct. It's going to be an incredibly lucrative byproduct. And it shouldn't be the main driver.
How do you go about not doing it? Because obviously, like, you do real estate for money. Like, you need it to pay your bills, you need it to pay for whatever your kids are doing. But it's like, how do you psychologically separate yourself from the monetary value of selling real estate? It's more about and actually making yourself dedicated towards your clients and genuinely wanting the best and getting the best for them.
I would say that you do enough of it.
Right. That you don't need any one to feed your child. Right. I don't actually have to do this one. So I'm not tied to the outcome with any particular client that I'm sitting with.
Okay.
Right? So that way I can give them the best advice. If the advice I need to give you is now's not the time to buy, you've got too much college loan debt, right? We got to pay that stuff off first, save up a down payment, and then it's the right time to buy. But hey, man, it's okay. I'm going to be in real estate forever, right? Whether it's 3 years from now or 10 years from now, I'm going to be here to help you, right? So that's the attitude there. And then when I get out into my car, I'm like, well, that one didn't work. Okay, I got to go find 3 more.
Right.
Because one of those 3 will, I don't know which one it is. I'm going to give them all the best advice I can. And if I just play the odds, one of them is going to turn into a transaction. Yeah. Great. Don't be tied to the outcome.
If you're doing 100 transactions a year versus the guy that's doing 5 transactions a year, the person who's doing 5 transactions a year, they need every transaction to happen.
Yep.
But if you're doing 100, it doesn't matter.
There's also a compartmentalization thing too. I think, I don't know if people are watching this or listening to it, but I wear a white shirt. I basically wear a white shirt every day. And for me, it's actually helps me with the compartmentalization. Like, I'm not dad right now. I'm actually the team leader right now. And then when I go home, guess what I do? I take off the white shirt.
Put on a blue shirt.
I put on a blue shirt. I put on a flannel shirt. Or I do, you know what I mean? There's some physical things that help me shift gears so that I can be the thing I'm supposed to be in that moment. Right.
But you really got to come from a place of wanting to help. You know, as I've said before, you know, I have a heart of a teacher. I want you to be successful.
Correct.
You know, because you can make somebody very, very wealthy in real estate or very, very, very broke.
Very broke. Yeah. Generationally broke.
Yeah. So, you know, being able to guide people, and it's really, really fun to watch somebody who started with you at 20 years old and now they're 30 or 40 and they own 15 houses and they're making a ton of money and they're retired basically. It's a lot of fun. And you've become their advocate. You've become their confidant. You know, what I like to say is you want to be one of those 5 people that you always want. You know, you want your doctor,
right,
your accountant,
right,
you know, your physician, and I want to be your realtor. Like,
right.
You know, I want to be that person, and your financial advisor. I want to be the person that helps you succeed in life. And if you come with that mindset, you're going to only succeed.
And I would say that too. I mean, especially if a lot of the audience is kind of the under 30 crowd, if that's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I would argue bring that mindset to anything you do, no matter what it is, right? I mean, it's, you know, why are we doing this podcast? Actually, we want to educate people, right? At the end of the day, it's really an education thing. Like, how can we educate them to discern, geez, if real estate's right for me, or isn't it? Great, that's a filter. And then if it is right for me, I wonder if Keller Williams is right for me or not, right? And again, I think it's good for Nick and I to sit here and go, man, we're not tied to that outcome. Right. We're committed to the teaching of it. We're committed to the story of it. We're committed to being a resource, but we're not necessarily tied to the outcome for any one individual. And I think, you apply that to any industry, you're going to go further faster.
I think Zig Ziglar said, you give it out in slices, it comes back in loaves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, another one of his quotes is, you know, help enough people get what they want, you'll get everything that you want.
Yeah.
Right? Such a simple thing, and it rings true every time. The older I get, the more I go, son of a bang, that guy was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because any time in my life that I've gone and going, hey, this is the me show. It's all about me. And that's what's going to, nope. You get knocked off that horse really quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can keep going on this whole theory, but or this whole montage, but you know, JFK. You know, it's like that's not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. You know, and that's it's kind of very similar. You know, what can I do to help you get what you want?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's what I think from this whole episode, I've kind of gathered that, or if I could like take away one thing from this conversation we've just all had, is that real estate is wildly important. It's the biggest. I think it's the most important industry in the U.S.
Hands down.
And it's almost like no matter what you're doing, who you are, where you're at in life, being involved in real estate is very, very important. And if you're not going to take it as far as being an agent, as far as like investing is almost essential to building wealth.
Can I rephrase what you said? Because I think you're on the right track.
Please.
Great. You are involved in real estate. If you're listening to this right now, you are involved in real estate. Because wherever you live, you have to have a roof over your head if you're going to survive long term. I don't care if you're Arizona or Maine. You're going to die if you're out in the elements. So you live somewhere. And where you live, you either own it or rent it, or you know the person who owns it or rents it, right? You're at most one step away from the ownership of real estate. At most, every 350 million people in the United States are all one step away at most from real estate ownership. It touches everybody. It touches everybody, whether they want it to or not, because it's an actual necessity. It's like food. Like, yeah, real estate's really important. So's farming. Like, farming's really important too. But I'm not that close to being a farmer, right? Yeah. I am that close to actually being involved in the ownership of real estate, because I'm either paying my own mortgage or I'm paying Nick's mortgage because I'm renting from Nick. Right? So, yeah, it's hugely important. It's hugely important. I love how you frame that.
I always love the people that say, geez, I can't afford a mortgage. Well, you're paying somebody's. You're just not paying. You're paying somebody's mortgage, just not yours.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brad, just to wrap this up, what would you say 3 books somebody should read to get into real estate?
On the real estate front.
And obviously it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Well, I think as a career in real estate, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book written by Gary Keller, I still think it is the quintessential for our industry. So if you are, after all of this, still considering a career in real estate, that's definitely a read, because I think it paints a picture of what it takes to be really successful in real estate. And if you're not willing to be really successful in real estate sales, don't even start. Yeah. Do not start, because adequate in real estate sales means you're going to starve to death. So you have to be a top performer. Good to Great for me is a book that it applies to so much in business, and there's so many lessons for real estate in that book. So that's a great one. And then one for me that I think is so important, going back to our conversation about connecting with people, is Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott. I don't know of another book that teaches you the underlying foundations of human communication better than that. And becoming an effective communicator is going to help you in no matter what you do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Well, Brad, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, guys.
Really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Hey, Brad, just so I can give you a plug, I know that you have Knowles Development, which is a coaching company
Yes.
for real estate agents.
Yes. And other business owners.
And other business owners.
Yep.
So how can people get a hold of you if they want to have more Brad?
Oh, nobody wants more Brad. I'm going to be this risky. Just text me. 207-808-9177. I give that number out to thousands and thousands of people a year, and a few will reach out.
Sure.
So if you're hearing that and you actually have real questions, just text me. We'll get a conversation going. Or go to knowlesdevelopment.com. We've got all sorts of classes, coaching options, that kind of stuff. So it really, for any business owner.
Instagram handle?
Maybe.
Well, we'll find his Instagram and get it to you.
Yeah, that's the get in business with good people, so you don't get stuck doing the stuff that you're not good at, right? Yeah, that's Daniel Edwards. Plug for him. He handles all of that stuff for me.
Okay, well, we'll make sure we'll add those to the show notes.
Awesome. Yeah, everything will be in the show notes.
Love it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Sweet.
bud.
Thanks, guys.
Brad, thank you for coming on. It's a
See ya.
pleasure.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.